The rain started falling just as Taiho heard the terrible sound from his car engine. It was a loud knocking noise, like someone was hitting metal with a hammer. He pulled over to the side of the empty road and turned off the engine. The knocking stopped, but when he tried to start the car again, nothing happened. Taiho hit the steering wheel with his palm and let out a long breath. He was in the middle of nowhere. The road stretched through farmland and small forests, and he had not seen another car for at least 30 minutes. His phone showed 1 bar of signal, barely enough to do anything useful. He got out of the car and opened the hood. Steam rose from the engine, mixing with the rain. Taiho knew very little about cars. He could change a tire and add oil, but that was the limit of his knowledge. Whatever was wrong with this engine was far beyond his ability to fix. The rain grew heavier. Taiho looked up and down the road, hoping to see headlights or any sign of help. There was nothing but darkness and the sound of water hitting the ground. He remembered passing a small building about 2 kilometers back. It had looked like some kind of workshop or garage. At the time, he had barely noticed it. Now, it seemed like his only hope. Taiho locked his car and started walking back along the road. The rain soaked through his jacket and shirt within minutes. His shoes made wet sounds with every step. He kept his head down and focused on moving forward. After 20 minutes of walking, he saw a faint light through the rain. It was the workshop he remembered. As he got closer, he could see it was a small auto repair shop. The building was old and made of concrete blocks. A single light bulb hung above the entrance, swinging slightly in the wind. The sign above the door was faded and hard to read, but Taiho could make out the words "Repair Shop" in Korean. Below those words, there was something else written, but the paint had worn away too much to understand. He walked up to the entrance and knocked on the metal door. The sound was loud in the quiet night. He waited, but there was no answer. He knocked again, harder this time. "Hello?" He called out. "Is anyone here? I need help with my car." For a moment, there was only silence. Then he heard footsteps inside, getting closer to the door. A lock clicked, and the door opened slowly. A woman stood in the doorway. She was tall, almost as tall as Taiho himself. Her hair was black and cut short, just above her shoulders. She wore gray work clothes covered in oil stains, and she held a tool in her hand that Taiho did not recognize. But what caught his attention most were her eyes. They were a strange color, somewhere between purple and blue. In the dim light, they seemed to glow slightly. Taiho told himself it must be a reflection from the light bulb above. "Yes?" the woman said. Her voice was soft but clear. She spoke Korean with a slight accent that Taiho could not identify. "I am sorry to bother you so late," Taiho said. "My car broke down about 2 kilometers up the road. The engine made a terrible noise and then stopped working. I saw your shop and hoped you might be able to help." The woman studied him for a long moment. Her strange eyes moved over his face, then down to his wet clothes, then back up to his eyes. Taiho felt like she was reading something about him, something more than just his appearance. "You are very wet," she said finally. "Come inside. I will get you a towel." She stepped back and opened the door wider. Taiho walked in, grateful to be out of the rain. The inside of the shop was larger than he expected. There were several workstations with tools hanging on the walls. In the center of the main room, a car sat with its hood open. But it was the tools that caught Taiho's attention. Many of them looked normal enough, but others were strange. Some had shapes he had never seen before. Others seemed to glow with faint blue or green lights. The woman noticed him looking at the tools. "I collect unusual equipment," she said quickly, "from different countries. Please, sit here." She pointed to a chair near a small desk. Taiho sat down while she went to get a towel. He looked around the shop more carefully. On the desk, There were papers with drawings and calculations. The writing looked like no language he had ever seen. The woman returned with a clean towel. "Here," she said. "Dry yourself. Then you can tell me about your car." "Thank you," Taeho said. He dried his face and hair as best he could. "I am Taeho, by the way." "Kim Taeho." The woman paused for just a moment before answering. "I am Yuna, Park Yuna." "Nice to meet you, Yuna. I really appreciate your help. I thought I would have to spend the whole night in the rain." Yuna nodded. She sat down on a stool across from him and put down the strange tool she'd been holding. "Tell me what happened to your car." Taeho explained about the knocking sound, the steam, and how the engine would not start again. Yuna listened carefully, asking a few questions about when the sound started and what he had been doing before it happened. "It sounds like a serious problem with the engine," Yuna said when he finished. "I will need to look at it myself to know for certain. The rain is still heavy. We can wait until it stops or I can drive us there now." "You have a car?" Taeho asked. "I have transportation," Yuna said with a small smile. "Wait here." She went to the back of the shop and disappeared through a door. Taeho heard strange humming sounds from behind that door, sounds that did not match any vehicle he knew. A few minutes later, Yuna returned. "The rain is getting lighter," she said. "We can go now." They left through a side door, and Taeho saw what Yuna called her transportation. It looked like a truck, but something about it was different. The shape was slightly wrong, and there were no visible exhaust pipes. But in the darkness and remaining rain, Taeho could not see the details clearly. They got in, and Yuna started the engine. It made almost no sound at all, just a soft hum. Taeho thought it must be an electric vehicle, though it did not look like any electric car he had ever seen. They drove to his broken car in silence. When they arrived, Yuna parked behind it and took out a toolbox from the back. The toolbox was metal and had strange symbols on the sides. "Hold this light," Yuna said, handing Taeho a flashlight. It was unusually light, and the beam was stronger than any flashlight he had used before. Yuna opened the hood of Taeho's car and began examining the engine. Her hands moved with confidence and speed. She touched different parts, listened to different areas, and used instruments from her toolbox that Taeho did not recognize. "Your connecting rod is broken," Yuna said after several minutes. "It has damaged other parts of the engine as well. This is not a simple repair." Taeho's heart sank. How much will it cost to fix? At a normal shop, very expensive. They would need to replace many parts. Yuna looked at him with those strange purple-blue eyes. "But I can repair it differently. It will take me a few hours, but I can make your engine work again. Better than before, actually. How is that possible?" Taeho asked. Yuna smiled slightly. "I have special tools and special knowledge. Do you want me to try?" Taeho thought about it. He did not have much money, and a major engine repair at a regular shop would cost more than he could afford. This strange woman in the middle of nowhere was offering to help. Something about her was unusual, but she had shown him nothing but kindness so far. "Yes, please," he said. "I would be very grateful." Yuna nodded and got to work. Taeho watched her, holding the flashlight steady. She used tools that seemed to shape metal like it was soft clay. She used a device that made broken parts whole again, as if time was moving backwards. She worked with a focus and skill that was beyond anything Taeho had ever seen. The rain stopped completely while she worked. The clouds began to clear, and a few stars appeared in the sky. Taeho found himself watching Yuna more than the repairs. There was something about the way she moved, the way she looked at things, that was different from anyone he had ever met. At one point, she reached deep into the engine. Her sleeve rolled up, and Taeho saw something on her forearm. It looked like a pattern of lines, glowing very faintly with soft blue light. But before he could look closer, Yuna pulled her arm back and rolled down her sleeve. "Almost finished," she said, not looking at him. 30 minutes later, Yuna closed the hood and stepped back. "Try to start it now," she said. Tae-ho got into his car and turned the key. The engine started immediately. It ran more smoothly and quietly than it had even when he first bought the car. "That is amazing," he said, getting out. "It sounds perfect. How much do I owe you?" Yuna shook her head. "Nothing? Nothing? But you worked for hours. You used your tools and your time. I have to pay you something." "You do not have to pay me anything," Yuna said. "I was glad to help. It was nice to have company tonight." Tae-ho felt confused. No one did work like this for free. But Yuna's expression was sincere. She truly did not want payment. "At least let me buy you dinner sometime," Tae-ho said, "to say thank you properly." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Something in her strange eyes shifted, like she was making a decision about something important. "Perhaps," she said finally. "The shop is always open. You can visit again if you want." She gave him a small smile, then got into her silent truck and drove away into the night. Tae-ho stood by his perfectly running car, watching her taillights disappear. He knew something unusual had happened tonight. He knew Yuna was not an ordinary mechanic, and he knew, without understanding why, that he would definitely visit that repair shop again. 3 days passed, and Tae-ho could not stop thinking about Yuna and her strange repair shop. His car ran better than ever before. The engine was quiet and smooth, and he was even getting better fuel economy. Whatever Yuna had done to repair it, it was far beyond normal mechanical work. He tried to focus on his job at the shipping company, but his mind kept wandering back to that rainy night. He remembered her purple-blue eyes that seemed to glow. He remembered the strange tools that shaped metal like clay. He remembered the faint blue pattern he had seen on her arm. On the 4th day, Tae-ho made a decision. He would visit the repair shop again. He told himself it was just to thank her properly, maybe bring her a gift. But deep down, he knew he was curious. He wanted to understand who Yuna really was. He drove out to the shop on Saturday afternoon. The weather was clear and sunny, very different from the stormy night of his first visit. In the daylight, the shop looked even older and more isolated. It sat alone in a small clearing, surrounded by trees on 3 sides. There were no other buildings nearby, no signs of neighbors or other businesses. Tae-ho parked his car and walked to the entrance. He carried a box of expensive tea as a gift. It seemed like a safe choice, something polite but not too personal. The metal door was partly open. Tae-ho knocked and called out, "Hello? Yuna? Are you here?" "Come in," Yuna's voice answered from somewhere inside. Tae-ho pushed the door open and stepped in. The shop looked different in the daylight. Sunlight came through dirty windows, revealing more details than he had seen at night. The strange tools were still there, and now he could see them more clearly. Some had controls with symbols that matched the writing he had seen on Yuna's papers. Others had no visible buttons or switches at all. Yuna was working on a different car today. She looked up when Tae-ho entered, and he saw surprise on her face. But it quickly changed to a small smile. "Tae-ho," she said, "you came back. I wanted to thank you properly," he said, holding out the box of tea. "This is for you, for helping me the other night." Yuna wiped her hands on a cloth and walked over to him. She took the box and looked at it with curiosity. "Tea," she said, reading the label. "I have tried tea before. It is very pleasant." "Thank you. How is the car running?" she asked. "Perfectly," Tae-ho said. "Actually, better than perfectly. It runs better now than when I first bought it. Whatever you did, it was amazing." Yuna nodded but did not explain. "I am glad it is working well." There was an awkward pause. Taeho looked around the shop, searching for something to say. "Do you get many customers out here?" he asked. "It seems very far from town." "Some," Yuna said. "People who know about me. People who need special help." "Special help?" Yuna hesitated. "Difficult repairs. Problems other mechanics cannot solve." Taeho nodded, though he sensed there was more to her words than she was saying. "Do you live here?" "At the shop?" "Near here," Yuna said. "Not far." She was being careful with her answers. Taeho could see that. She was not lying exactly, but she was not telling the whole truth either. He wondered why she was so guarded. "Well," he said, "I should let you get back to work. I just wanted to say thank you again." He turned to leave, but then he stopped. Something made him turn back. "Yuna," he said, "I know this might sound strange, but I feel like there is something different about you. Something I do not understand. I am not trying to bother you or invade your privacy. I am just curious, and I would like to know you better if you would allow it." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Her strange eyes studied his face, searching for something. Finally, she spoke. "You are very direct," she said. "Most people do not say what they are thinking so clearly. Is that bad?" "No," Yuna said. "It is refreshing. Humans often hide their true thoughts. You are different." Taeho noticed her word choice. Humans. Not people, not others. Humans. As if she was talking about a group she did not belong to. "Would you like to stay for a while?" Yuna asked. "I can make tea. We can talk." "I would like that," Taeho said. Yuna led him to a small room at the back of the shop. It was set up like a simple living space, with a table, some chairs, and a small kitchen area. The furniture looked normal enough, but there were strange objects on the shelves. Small devices with lights. Crystals that seemed to pulse with inner glow. A plant that Taeho did not recognize, with silver leaves and purple flowers. Yuna prepared the tea, while Taeho sat at the table. He watched her move around the small kitchen. Her movements were graceful and precise, like everything she did had been carefully considered. "How long have you lived here?" Taeho asked. 3 years, Yuna said. "I came here 3 years ago. Where did you come from?" "Before here?" Yuna paused, her back to him. "Very far away," she said. "A place you would not know. Another country?" "Something like that." She brought 2 cups of tea to the table and sat across from him. The tea smelled wonderful, but Taeho was too interested in the conversation to drink it yet. "Why did you come here?" he asked. "To this place, so far from the city?" Yuna wrapped her hands around her cup and stared into the tea. "I did not plan to come here. I was traveling. There was an accident. I could not continue my journey. So I stayed. An accident? Were you hurt?" "My transportation was damaged." "Not me." Yuna looked up at him. "I have been repairing it, slowly. The parts I need are difficult to find." Taeho thought about her strange truck, the silent vehicle she had used to help him. "The truck you drove? That was damaged in an accident?" Yuna smiled slightly. "Something like that." They drank their tea in comfortable silence for a while. Taeho thought about everything he had seen. The unusual tools, the strange writing, the glowing patterns, Yuna's unusual eyes. A crazy idea was forming in his mind. An idea that should have been impossible. "Yuna," he said slowly, "where are you really from?" She met his eyes. Something shifted in her expression, like a wall coming down just a little. "You would not believe me if I told you," she said. "Try me." Yuna set down her cup. She looked at the door, then at the windows, as if checking that no one else could hear. Then she looked back at Taeho. "If I show you something," she said, "you must promise not to tell anyone. Not your family, not your friends, not anyone. Can you promise that? Tejo felt his heart beat faster. I promise. Yuna nodded. She reached up and touched something behind her ear. There was a soft clicking sound, and then her appearance began to change. Her eyes, which had seen purple-blue, now glowed clearly with violet light. Her skin shifted slightly in color, taking on a faint silver tone. And on her forehead, a small pattern appeared, like a beautiful geometric design made of light. Tejo stood up from his chair, knocking it over. He backed away until he hit the wall. His mind could not process what he was seeing. Do not be afraid, Yuna said. Her voice was calm. I will not hurt you. I would never hurt you. What? What are you? Tejo managed to say. I am what you might call an extraterrestrial, Yuna said. I come from a world very far from Earth, a world you cannot see with your strongest telescopes. Tejo's legs felt weak. He slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. Yuna stayed where she was, giving him space. That is impossible, Tejo said. Aliens are not real. They are just in movies and stories. I understand why you think that, Yuna said. Your world has been isolated. You have had no contact with other civilizations. But I promise you, I am real. I am here. And I am not the only one in the universe. Tejo stared at her. Her appearance was clearly not human now. But her expression, her eyes, the way she looked at him with gentle patience, that was the same Yuna who had helped him in the rain. Why are you here? He asked. On Earth? I told you the truth about that, Yuna said. I was traveling. My ship was damaged. I crashed near this location 3 years ago. I have been hiding and repairing my ship since then. Your ship, Tejo repeated. A spaceship. You have a spaceship. Yes, it is hidden behind the shop, underground. I built the repair shop as a cover. It allows me to use tools and equipment without raising suspicion. Tejo's mind was spinning with questions. Why Earth? Why did you choose to come here? I did not choose to crash here, Yuna said. But I was in this area of space because I was studying your world. Your people. Studying us? Why? Yuna's expression became thoughtful. My people have studied many worlds with intelligent life. Most are violent. Most are dangerous. When we first observed Earth, we expected the same. Your species has so much war, so much conflict. She paused, then continued. But the more I watched, the more I saw something else. I saw kindness. Strangers helping strangers. People sacrificing for each other. Love and compassion in the middle of all that violence. It was confusing to me. Beautiful and confusing. So you came to study us up close? Yes, and then I crashed and I was stuck here. At first, I was afraid. I thought your people would capture me, experiment on me. So I hid. I created this disguise and this shop. I tried to avoid contact with humans. But you helped me, Tejo said. When my car broke down, you could have ignored me. Yuna smiled. I could not ignore you. You were cold and wet and alone. You knocked on my door with such hope in your eyes. How could I turn you away? Tejo slowly got to his feet. His fear was fading, replaced by wonder. Can I see your ship? Yuna stood up too. Are you sure? You have already seen so much. Maybe you need time to process this. I need to see it, Tejo said. I need to know this is real. Yuna nodded. She touched the device beheath inside of the ship was nothing like Tejo had imagined. From movies and stories, he expected cold metal walls and blinking computers. Instead, he found himself in a space that felt almost alive. The walls curved gently and glowed with soft light that changed colors as they walked. The air smelled faintly sweet, like flowers after rain. This is the main living area, Yuna said, leading him through a round doorway. I spend most of my time here when I am not working on repairs. The room was comfortable and warm. There were cushioned seats that molded to the shape of his body when he sat down. Plants grew in containers along the walls, their leaves silver and gold and deep purple. Soft music played from somewhere, sounds that were beautiful but unlike any instruments Taeho had ever heard. It is beautiful, Taeho said quietly. Yuna sat down across from him. In this space, surrounded by the evidence of her true nature, she seemed more relaxed than he had ever seen her. I have tried to make it feel like home, she said, but it has been difficult. I am so far from my world, from my people. Sometimes the loneliness is very heavy. Tell me about your world, Taeho said. Tell me about where you come from. Yuna's eyes grew distant, looking at something only she could see. My world is called Velen. It is much older than Earth and very different. We do not have your oceans or your blue sky. Our world has 3 suns, so the sky is always filled with light. The land is covered with crystal forests and silver plains. It sounds incredible. It is home, Yuna said simply. I miss it every day. Do you have family there? Yuna nodded. My parents, my younger sister, many friends and colleagues. When I left on my research mission, I expected to be away for only 2 of your Earth years. But then the accident happened, and now it has been 3 years. They must think I am dead. The sadness in her voice made Taeho's heart ache. Can you not send them a message? Tell them you are alive? The communication systems were damaged in the crash, Yuna explained. That was the first thing I tried to repair. But the technology is complex, and some parts cannot be made here on Earth. I need materials that do not exist on your planet. So you are truly stuck here? Not forever. The ship itself is almost repaired. Another few months, maybe half a year. Then I can fly again. Then I can go home. Taeho felt a strange feeling in his chest at her words. She would leave. Of course, she would leave. She had a home, a family, a whole world waiting for her. Why would she stay on Earth? You seem sad, Yuna observed, watching his face. I just met you, Taeho said. Really met you, I mean. And already you are talking about leaving. Yuna's expression softened. I have been here for 3 years, Taeho. 3 years of hiding and pretending. 3 years of loneliness. You are the first person I have connected with. The first person I have trusted with my truth. That means something to me. What does it mean? Yuna looked down at her hands. I do not know yet. Everything is complicated. I am not even supposed to make contact with humans. There are rules about interacting with primitive species. Primitive? Taeho raised his eyebrows. Yuna looked embarrassed. I am sorry. That is how my people classify your world. Not because we think you are less intelligent or less valuable, but because your technology is still young. You have not yet discovered faster-than-light travel. You have not joined the greater community of civilizations. There are other civilizations. Besides your people? Many, Yuna said. Hundreds that we know of. Some are friendly. Some are dangerous. Some are so different from us that communication is impossible. The universe is much bigger and much more crowded than humans realize. Taeho leaned back in his seat, trying to absorb this information. Everything he thought he knew about the world, about reality, was changing. It was overwhelming but also exciting. Why does your world study other planets? He asked. What is the purpose? We are explorers by nature, Yuna said. We want to understand the universe. We study other civilizations to learn from them, to see how different species solve the problems of existence. And we watch for signs that a species might become dangerous, either to themselves or to others. Dangerous? Like how? Yuna's expression became serious. Some species develop powerful weapons before they develop wisdom. They destroy themselves, or they try to conquer others. We have seen it happen many times. Whole worlds destroyed because a species could not control their own violence. And humans? Do your people think we are dangerous? Yuna hesitated before answering. Many of my people believe humans are on a dangerous path. You have nuclear weapons. You have wars everywhere. Your planet is suffering from damage you have caused. The official assessment is that humans will likely destroy themselves within the next few hundred years. The words hit Taeho hard. He knew about the problems in the world, of course. Everyone did. But hearing it stated so directly by someone looking at humanity from the outside was different. That is what most of my people believe, Yuna continued. But I disagree. You disagree? Yuna stood up and walked to one of the walls. She touched it, and a screen appeared, showing images and videos. Taeho saw scenes from Earth. A firefighter rescuing a child from a burning building. Doctors traveling to poor countries to help the sick. Strangers giving money to homeless people. People protesting for peace and justice. I have watched your species for years, Yuna said. And yes, I have seen the violence and the cruelty. But I have also seen this. Humans helping each other for no reason except kindness. Humans sacrificing their comfort, their safety, even their lives for strangers. I have never seen this in any other species we have studied. She turned back to face Taeho. Most species are selfish. They help their own family, their own group. But humans can care about anyone, about everyone, about creatures that are not even human. I have seen humans rescue animals, fight to protect forests, worry about beings they have never met and will never meet. It is extraordinary. Taeho felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought about humanity this way. From the inside, it was easy to focus on all the bad things, all the problems. But Yuna was showing him a different view. That is why I could not ignore you that night in the rain, Yuna said. I have been watching humans show kindness to each other for years. When you knocked on my door, wet and desperate, I could not be cruel in return. I had to help you. It felt like the most natural thing in the world. And now? Taeho asked. Now that I know your secret? What happens now? Yuna sat back down across from him. She reached out and took his hand again. Her touch was gentle and warm. I do not know, she admitted. I have never been in this situation before. I am supposed to avoid contact with humans. I am certainly not supposed to reveal my true nature. But with you, everything feels different. I do not want to hide anymore. Then do not hide, Taeho said. At least, not with me. I will keep your secret. I will protect you. But when we are together, be yourself. Your real self. Yuna's eyes filled with something that looked like tears, though they glowed faintly silver instead of clear. You would do that? You would accept me as I truly am. I already do. Yuna touched the device behind her ear, and her disguise faded away. Her true appearance emerged, the silver-toned skin, the glowing violet eyes, the beautiful pattern on her forehead. She looked like a dream, like something from another world. Because she was from another world. Thank you, Taeho, she said. You cannot understand how much this means to me. 3 years of hiding. 3 years of pretending to be something I am not. And now, finally, I can just be myself with someone. They sat together in the softly glowing room, surrounded by alien technology and plants from another world. The music played gently around them. And for the first time since her crash, Yuna did not feel alone. Tell me more about your life, Taeho said. Tell me about your family, your work, everything. I want to know all of it. Yuna smiled. That could take a very long time. I have time." So Yuna began to talk. She told him about her childhood on Velen, playing in the crystal forests with her sister. She told him about her education, how she had always been fascinated by other worlds and other species. She told him about her first research mission to a water planet where the intelligent species lived entirely in the ocean. She told him about the day she received her assignment to study Earth. "I was excited at first," she said. "Earth is considered a very interesting world. So much variety, so many different cultures and beliefs. But also dangerous. We are taught that humans are unpredictable, that they fear what they do not understand." "That is true sometimes," Taeho admitted. "Not everyone would react to you the way I have. I know. That is why I was so careful. But you, from the first moment I saw you, something was different. You looked at me with open eyes. No suspicion, no fear, just curiosity and kindness. I felt like I could trust you," Taeho said. "I do not know why. There was just something about you." Yuna nodded. "My people believe that some connections transcend species. That sometimes two beings from different worlds can recognize something in each other. A shared spirit, perhaps. I never believed it before. I thought it was just romantic stories. But now..." She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. "What happens when your ship is repaired?" Taeho asked quietly. "Will you just..." The weeks that followed were unlike anything Taeho had experienced before. He visited Yuna's shop and ship as often as he could, sometimes after work on weekdays, always on weekends. Each visit brought new wonders, new knowledge, new understanding. Yuna showed him everything. She taught him about her technology, explaining in simple terms how her tools could reshape matter and how her ship bent space itself to travel between stars. She showed him recordings from her home world, beautiful videos of crystal forests and silver plains, of cities that floated in the sky, and tunnels that ran deep into the planet's core. She also showed him recordings of other worlds she had studied, water planets with vast intelligent species that sang to each other across entire oceans, desert worlds with beings made of living stone that thought so slowly a single conversation took a year, forest worlds where the trees themselves were conscious, communicating through networks of roots that spanned continents. "The universe is so full of wonder," Yuna said one evening as they watched a recording together. "So many different ways of being alive. So many different solutions to the question of existence." "And humans?" Taeho asked. "Where do we fit in all of this?" Yuna turned to look at him. They were sitting in her ship's main room, surrounded by the soft glow of alien technology. She had stopped using her disguise around him completely now. Her true appearance no longer surprised him. Instead, he found it beautiful. "Humans are unique," Yuna said carefully. "In some ways, you are one of the youngest intelligent species we have discovered. Your civilization is only a few thousand years old. Many species have histories spanning millions of years. That makes us primitive, I suppose. In terms of technology, yes. In terms of space travel and scientific knowledge, you are still beginners." Yuna paused. "But there is something else about humans that we have never seen before. Something that makes you special. You mentioned before. The kindness, the compassion. Yes, but it goes deeper than that." Yuna stood up and walked to a wall screen. She touched it, and images appeared. Taeho saw humans helping each other, as he had seen before. But then he saw something else. Art, music, dance, stories. "My people are logical and practical," Yuna explained. "We create technology, we solve problems, we explore the universe. But we do not create beauty for its own sake. We do not make music that serves no purpose except to make others feel emotion. We do not tell stories about imaginary people and imaginary places. You do not have art? We have functional design. We have efficient communication. But art? Fiction? These concepts are foreign to us. Yuna gestured at the screen, which now showed a painting by a famous Korean artist. When I first observed human art, I could not understand it. Why would someone spend months creating an image of something that does not exist? Why would someone write thousands of words about people who never lived? And now? Taeho asked. Do you understand it now? I am beginning to, Yuna said softly. I have spent 3 years watching humans create, watching them paint and write and sing and dance. And I have come to realize that this is what makes you special. Not your technology, which is primitive. Not your science, which is incomplete. But this ability to create meaning from nothing. To make beauty that serves no purpose except beauty itself. She turned back to face him. My people have traveled the stars for millions of years. We have seen wonders beyond description. But we have never met a species that can dream the way humans can. That can imagine things that do not exist and then make them real through art and story. Taeho felt strange hearing this. He had always taken art and creativity for granted. Every human society had music, stories, paintings. It seemed as natural as breathing. The idea that this might be rare in the universe had never occurred to him. What about emotions? He asked, Does your species feel emotions? Yuna sat back down beside him. We feel something. Satisfaction when we solve a problem. Discomfort when something is wrong. Connection with our families and friends. But it is muted compared to what humans experience. Your emotions are so intense, so overwhelming. Joy that makes you weep. Grief that stops you from eating. Anger that blinds you to reason. Love that makes you sacrifice everything. That can be a weakness too, Taeho said. Our emotions cause a lot of suffering. Yes, I have seen that. Your wars, your violence, your cruelty. These two come from your emotional intensity. But so does your compassion. So does your capacity for love. I think. Yuna hesitated. I think your emotions are both your greatest danger and your greatest gift. The question is which will win. They sat in silence for a while, thinking about her words. Then Taeho asked something he had been wondering for a while. Yuna, in all this time you have been on Earth, have you ever felt lonely? Truly lonely? Yuna's expression shifted. The pattern on her forehead pulsed with softer light. Every day, she admitted. Every moment. I'm surrounded by beings I cannot truly connect with. I watch humans from a distance, admire them, study them. But I cannot be one of them. I cannot share my true self with anyone. Until now. Until now, Yuna agreed. She reached out and touched Taeho's face gently. Do you know what the strangest thing is? I have studied hundreds of human subjects over the years. I have read your literature, watched your films, analyzed your behavior. I thought I understood humans very well, but knowing humans and connecting with one are very different things. Her glowing eyes met his. When I am with you, I feel things I have never felt before. Warmth that is not just temperature. Comfort that is not just safety. Something in my chest that responds when you smile. Taeho understood what she was describing. He felt it too. This connection between them that went beyond logic, beyond species, beyond everything that should have made them strangers. I think humans have a word for that feeling, he said. But I am not sure I should say it yet. It feels too soon. Yuna smiled. On my world, we do not have that word. We have words for attachment, for pair bonding, for reproductive partnership. But nothing quite like what humans mean when they say. She stopped, unable or unwilling to finish. Love, Taeho said quietly. Yes, that word. I have heard it so many times in human media, but I never understood it until now. Yuna moved closer to him. Is this what it feels like? This wanting to be near someone? This fear of losing them? This warmth that fills everything when they are close? Yes, Taeho said. That is exactly what it feels like. They sat together in silence, their hands intertwined. The ship hummed softly around them, a reminder of the vast distance between their worlds. But in that moment, the distance seemed to disappear. They were just two beings who had found each other against all odds. Later that night, Yuna took Taeho to a part of the ship he had not seen before. It was a small observation room with a curved, transparent ceiling. Through it, he could see the underground cavern above them. When the ship is fully repaired and I am ready to leave, I will open the ground above us, Yuna explained. The ship will rise through the opening and into the sky. And then you will be gone, Taeho finished. I must return home. My family has been waiting for 3 years. They deserve to know I am alive. Yuna's voice was tight with emotion. But leaving means leaving you. And I do not know if I can bear that. The offer you made before, Taeho said slowly. To come with you? Is that really possible? Would I survive on your world? The atmosphere is different, but we have technology that can help you adapt. The gravity is similar to Earth. The biggest challenge would be social. My people do not know humans the way I know you. They would see you as a primitive, a curiosity. It would not be easy. Taeho thought about his life on Earth, his job, which he did not love, his apartment, which was empty and lonely, his family, whom he loved but rarely saw, his friends, who had drifted away over the years. What was really keeping him here? What about you? He asked. Would you be in trouble for bringing a human to your world? Possibly, Yuna admitted. There are rules against deep contact with primitive species. I would have to explain myself to the authorities. But I am a respected researcher. I have valuable data from my years on Earth. I believe I could protect you. But you are not certain. No, I am not certain. There is risk for both of us. Yuna looked at him directly. But life is full of risk. And some risks are worth taking. Taeho gazed up through the transparent ceiling. Above the cavern, hidden by rock and soil, were the stars. Countless stars, countless worlds, countless possibilities that he had never imagined existed. How much time do we have? He asked. Before the ship is ready? 3 months, perhaps 4. The final repairs are delicate. I cannot rush them. Then we have time to decide. Taeho turned back to face her. 3 months to figure out what we want. 3 months to understand what we are to each other. Yuna nodded. And in that time, I want to show you everything. All the knowledge I have gathered about the universe. All the wonders I have seen. If you are going to make this decision, you should know exactly what awaits you. I want that, Taeho said. I want to learn everything. Yuna smiled, and her whole face seemed to glow with happiness. Then tomorrow, I will begin teaching you the languages of other species, the history of the galaxy, the physics that makes faster than light travel possible. Everything I know. Why? Taeho asked. Why go to so much trouble? Yuna took his hand and held it against Teeth. The months passed faster than Taeho could have imagined. Each day brought new lessons, new discoveries, new moments with Yuna that made him feel like he was living in a dream. She taught him about the physics of space travel, about the cultures of alien civilizations, about the vast networks of communication that connected intelligent species across the galaxy. He learned quickly, driven by curiosity and something deeper. The more he understood about the universe, the more he realized how small his previous life had been. He had spent years doing a job he did not care about, living in an apartment that felt empty, going through motions that meant nothing. Now, everything had changed. Yuna, too, was changing. The loneliness that had defined her years on Earth was fading. She laughed more. She smiled more. She talked about her home and her family with joy instead of sadness. And when she looked at Taeho, her glowing violet eyes held something that needed no translation. But time was running out. One evening in early spring, Yuna met Taeho at the entrance to the underground chamber with an expression he had not seen before. Excitement and fear mixed together in equal measure. "The ship is ready," she said quietly. "I finished the last repairs this morning. I can leave whenever I want." I can leave whenever I want. Taeho felt his heart stop for a moment. He had known this day was coming. They had talked about it many times. But hearing the words made it suddenly real. When? He managed to ask. "That depends on you." Yuna took his hand and led him down into the chamber. The ship sat there as always, sleek and beautiful and impossible. But now it looked different. The damaged sections were repaired. The hull gleamed with health. It looked ready to fly. "I have been thinking," Yuna said as they stood before the ship, "about what happens next. About what I should offer you." "You mentioned two choices before," Taeho said. "Forget everything or come with you." "Yes, those are the two obvious choices. But I have been thinking about a third option." Taeho looked at her with surprise. "A third option?" Yuna turned to face him fully. She was not using her human disguise. Her silver-tinted skin glowed softly in the chamber's light. The pattern on her forehead pulsed with gentle colors. "I have spent 3 years on Earth. I have gathered more data about humans than any other researcher in my people's history. I have documented your art, your music, your stories, your cultures. I have watched you struggle and fail and succeed and love and hate. I know more about humanity than almost anyone on my world. And what do you want to do with that knowledge?" Yuna's eyes met his. "I want to be your ambassador." Taeho blinked. "What do you mean?" "My people believe humans are dangerous and primitive. They think you will destroy yourself soon. But I know differently. I have seen your potential, your beauty, your incredible capacity for love and creativity. I want to show my people what humans really are. I want to advocate for Earth, to be contacted, to be welcomed into the community of civilizations. You want to speak for all of humanity? I want to speak for what I have seen. The kindness, the art, the hope that survives even in your darkest times." Yuna squeezed his hand. "And I want you to help me." Taeho stared at her. "Me? How could I help?" "By coming with me. Not just as a companion, not just as someone I care about, but as a representative of your species. A living example of what humans can be." Yuna's voice grew stronger, more passionate. "You are kind and curious and open-minded. You accepted me when most humans would have run away in fear. You learned about my world with enthusiasm instead of suspicion. You are exactly what my people need to see." "I am just an ordinary person," Taeho protested. "I am nobody special. I work at a shipping company. I have no important skills." "That is exactly what makes you perfect." Yuna smiled. "My people would expect the human ambassador to be a leader, a scientist, someone exceptional. But you are a normal human with a normal life who chose to be brave and kind when faced with the unknown. That is more powerful than any title or achievement." Taeho was silent for a long moment, processing her words. The idea was enormous. Leave Earth, go to another world, represent his entire species to an alien civilization. It was insane. It was terrifying. It was exactly what he wanted. "What about my family?" he asked. "My life here?" "That is something we need to discuss carefully." Yuna's expression became serious. "Faster than light travel is possible, but returning to Earth would not be easy. You might be able to visit someday, once relations between our worlds are established. But it could take years, maybe decades. So I would be saying goodbye, possibly forever. Yes, I will not lie to you about that. It is a heavy price. Yuna touched his face gently. That is why I wanted to give you a third option. You could stay on Earth, but keep your memories. I could visit when possible. We could maintain contact through long-range communication. It would be difficult, but we could try. Long-distance relationship across galaxies, Tejo said with a small laugh. That is quite a challenge. I know, and I would not blame you for choosing that option. Your home, your family, everything you know is here. I have no right to ask you to give that up. Tejo looked at the ship, at Yuna, and everything around him. For the past months, he had been living between two worlds, human and alien, Earth and the stars. He had one foot in each, unable to commit to either dot. But now, the time for choosing had arrived. Can I have one night to think? He asked. Yuna nodded. Of course. Take all the time you need. The ship will be here when you are ready. Tejo went home that night and sat alone in his small apartment. He looked around at his things. The furniture, the pictures, the small tokens of his life. None of it seemed to matter anymore. He thought about his parents, who lived in another city and whom he saw maybe twice a year. He thought about his brother, who was always busy with his own family. He thought about his friends, who had gradually drifted away as years passed. He thought about his job, which paid the bills but gave him no joy. Then he thought about Yuna, about her gentle eyes and her warm touch, about the wonder she had shown him and the trust she had given him, about the feeling in his chest when he was near her. And he thought about the universe, vast and full of wonders he had never imagined. Stars and planets and civilizations waiting to be seen. Beauty and mystery beyond anything Earth could offer. He did not sleep that night. But by morning, he knew his answer. He drove to the repair shop just as the sun was rising. Yuna was waiting for him at the entrance, still in her true form. Her expression was calm, but he could see the hope and fear in her eyes. I made my decision, Tejo said. Yuna nodded, bracing herself. Whatever you choose, I will accept it. Tejo stepped forward and took both her hands in his. I want to come with you, not just as your companion, but as an ambassador. I want to show your people what humans can be, and I want to see all the wonders you have told me about. I want to live in a universe that is bigger than I ever imagined. Yuna's eyes filled with silver tears. Are you certain? There is so much you will be leaving behind. I am certain. Tejo smiled. My life here was small and lonely. I was going through motions, not really living. Then you crashed into my world and everything changed. You showed me that the universe is full of possibilities. How can I turn my back on that? How can I stay in my small life when there is so much more out there? Yuna threw her arms around him, holding him tight. Her body was warm against his, and he could feel her heart beating against his chest. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for choosing wonder over fear. Thank you for finding me, Tejo replied. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for showing me that humans are not alone in the universe. They held each other for a long moment, then separated. Yuna wiped the tears from her eyes. There are things we must do before we leave, she said. You need to say goodbye to your family. You need to tie up your life here. And I need to prepare the ship for 2 passengers. How long do we have? A few weeks. We can leave whenever you are ready. Yuna smiled. There is no rush. The stars will wait for us. Over the next 2 weeks, Tejo quietly arranged his affairs. He visited his parents and his brother, spending time with them without explaining why. He could not tell them the truth, but he could show them love before he left. He quit his job. donated most of his possessions, and said goodbye to the few friends he had left. Everyone thought he was just making a big life change, moving to another country perhaps. In a way, they were right. Just not in the way they imagined. Finally, the day came. Toho stood with Yuna in the underground chamber, watching as she activated the ship's systems. Lights came on. Engines hummed. The craft seemed to come alive around them. "Are you ready?" Yuna asked, taking his hand. Toho looked around one last time. Then he looked at her beautiful alien face, and her glowing eyes full of hope and love. "I am ready," he said. They walked up the ramp and into the ship. The door closed behind them. Through the observation window, Toho watched as the ground above them opened, revealing a circle of blue sky. The ship rose slowly at first, then faster. The repair shop grew smaller below them. The countryside spread out, then curved at the edges. Earth became a sphere, blue and green and beautiful. Toho stood at the window, watching his home planet shrink into the distance. He felt sadness,